So yeah, here we go, I guess. So welcome, Tim. It's very nice to have you on the show. I've been a viewer of your channel many years now. I'm a 20-year-old music collector, so I've probably been watching you for like 5 years or so. So for me, that's a very long time.
Yeah.
So,
Uh, well,
so
thank
that-
you. I appreciate it, and I love the fact that we do have a lot of younger viewers that are not only watching, which is great, but also getting into this classic music. It's really
yeah,
good. It's what'll keep this music alive. So
yeah.
no, it's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to talk about one of my favorite bands.
Thank you, thank you. So
Awesome.
the albums we're going to talk about today are Slang, Euphoria, and X or 10 or whatever. I think it's actually was supposed to be called 10 because it was the 10th release, including retroactive and Vault.
Yeah.
But the band themselves refer to it as X, the X album. So yeah. So Slang is the first album we're going to talk about. I have it here on CD. You have the original issue. I've had
Yep.
the original CD, just like the one you have, but now I have these box sets, which I really like. So I just replaced all my copies with these. I don't have it on vinyl because they released like Euphoria and they released X and Sparkle Lounge and all these albums separately, but they didn't release Slang out of the box. So they just had it in the box, which is very strange because they released all of the other albums. So I don't know why. So yeah, that's very strange.
Yeah, I mean, it came out on vinyl in Europe and other territories originally in '96, but
Yeah,
uh, go on Discogs now and price up one of those.
yeah.
And they also put it out themselves in like 2014. They
14,
put out
yeah.
a version
The
of it.
double Philips
I
bonus
don't,
track.
I don't have it on vinyl either because even that edition
Super
is
expensive.
expensive. And
Yeah.
I don't know why it's not part of the new series of reissues. I
Yeah,
really
it's
don't.
very
Uh,
strange.
as far as other additions to this, I've also got they put out a limited edition with a bonus CD with 6 acoustic songs on it,
The
and I've
Singapore
got
one,
that.
right?
Um,
I
yeah,
think it's live at Singapore or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good
Yeah,
acoustic
it's very
stuff,
good.
I've got it on cassette too. So that's the extent of my Slang collection.
Yeah, and it's also included in this box set, the Live at Singapore one, the acoustic set. It's very good, and a lot of other rarities and stuff like that. So yeah, I also know there's like another double CD which has more like demos and outtakes. Also, I don't know if you have got
Yeah,
you just had the double.
no,
Yeah,
I don't. It's there's a lot of things I'm meaning to get right, but
yeah,
I know it's got can't keep away from the flame and
yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, and we are not going to talk about those tracks. It's just the 11 tracks on the original album, and it's
Yep.
the same for like X and all those. So we are not talking about B sides or anything today. So just talk about your reaction to the album when it came out and what you think of it today. So you can start off with a general analysis of the album, and then we can go into the tracks. So what was your reaction in the day when it was released?
Well, this was really interesting because I mean I lived through this period actively in real time, and it was a really strange time for bands like Def Leppard. It was a very almost combative time. I've said many times on my shows, I was not a fan of grunge or alternative. Didn't do anything for me. I was hanging on to the bands that I liked, and those bands were all suffering to some extent. And
Yeah,
Def Leppard, as big a band as they were, I mean, they got knocked down to gold status on this album in most countries. So obviously, they had to try something different, and this album is very different. It's very
yeah.
stripped down. I remember when I saw the video, the first thing I saw was a video to work it out, thinking that it was very different sounding for them, although it was catchy. So I got the album. There was, no way I wasn't going to get the album. It wasn't. You didn't see it everywhere. It wasn't on store. There wasn't racks of it in stores. You didn't walk into a store and see an entire end cap full of it. Like it would have been. There weren't posters up. It just wasn't. Uh, Record stores were almost reluctant to even say they were carrying
Yeah.
bands like that. But I made sure I bought it in support of the band. Like I said, I actually bought both copies of, I bought this CD, and I bought the one with the acoustic CD. I didn't get the cassette till many years later. But I was a bit shocked, but I knew from reading, the press, like reading Metal Edge magazine and different things, and they were saying this is going to be a very stripped down album, very, very different. We're not doing the multi-layered harmonies. And in short, I didn't care for it much. I didn't really like it. I tried, I listened and listened and listened. There are a few songs that I kind of liked right away, and then there were other songs that just did not do anything for me. Now, I also had the pleasure of seeing them on this tour.
Yeah, and I've heard your
And
story about that on your channel,
yeah, it
some
was
of your
very
videos.
that particular show was very ill attended, but the band sounded fantastic. It was just, it was a really, really rough time for bands. Although in Canada, where it's just where I live, I mean, I think that in the bigger cities, they were still, doing big business. This album actually went platinum in
Yeah,
Canada,
exactly.
which is
Yeah, yeah.
100,000 copies. So, there was support for the band. Just by the time that they got to Eastern Canada, my neck of the woods, just people just weren't interested in going to see Def Leppard, which I remember thinking, looking around, I just can't believe this. I mean, and they sounded so good. It was the first time I'd seen them. And they did I would say they did 3 or 4 songs from this album. Now that I think back, and I don't know, in context of playing these songs next to the classic Pyromania Hysteria stuff in a live setting, it wasn't quite as jarring because it's live. They're the same instruments, same same sound. And as the years have gone by, I'll go back to this album and say, well, maybe this is going to be one of those albums that kind of grows over time. Um, and I can't really say that that's happened. I probably enjoy a good half of this album. And the rest of it, I still kind of feel the same way I felt in 1996. It just, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they were going for, but I think it was a period they had to go through before they figured out who they actually were again. A lot of bands do this. A lot of bands had to go through this and at least try something. And I think that they're right when they used to say if we came out with another album that sounded like Adrenalize, we'd have been laughed out of the music business,
Yeah.
And so, they held their own, and and now, in 2025, they're out there doing stadiums,
Yeah.
which is great.
Look at them
I
now.
love the fact that they and Joe said many times, heard him say, any band, you've got to go through the peaks and valleys of a career, and this was definitely a valley
Yeah.
all around.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have the very long history with Def Leppard. I know you said in a video you first got introduced to them in 1988. And
That's when I got into it.
yeah, and I've been a fan of Def Leppard. Oh, it's probably like 8 years or something. Which for me, I'm only 20. That's a good
Yeah.
portion of my life. So, so yeah, I don't really have the same perspective as you have because I've been introduced to this album in the past like 5, 6, 7 years. So I have a whole nother perspective on this, and I actually really like this album. I think it's really cool. I wasn't there at the time, obviously. I wasn't born. And yeah, I think it's a really cool album. It's very different. I like how different it is. I just think it's people say this is Def Leppard's grunge album. I don't really hear it.
Oh, I don't agree with that.
No, no,
It's
no, no.
it's stripped down, but it's not grungy.
It's very stripped down and it's back to the basics. They recorded this album in Spain, and they had were in this house. I think they had like a pool and everything. It was like this paradise kind of place that they were living in, and they had a studio in this house. And yeah, they just recorded it very naturally, no like thousand overdubs and all the layered guitars and the voices and everything. They have some of it on some tracks. Obviously, they have these gang vocals, as they refer to often. But it's not like Adrenalize or Hysteria or Pyromania, any of these 80s and 90s, early 90s albums. This is very stripped down, very basic. I even think Rick Allen played an acoustic drum set on this, or
Yeah.
maybe it was a combo of electronic and acoustic. I'm not
I
sure.
think, I mean, there had to have been some enhancements made, but
Yeah.
it definitely sounds like a real snare drum.
Yeah. And I think Rick Allen is really a mystery when it comes to his studio performances. I know the last album, we'll get to it another time, but the last album, people are not really sure if he actually played on Diamond Star Halos. It was created as drum programming, and it was Ronan McHugh, their producer, engineer, whatever. So, and I think most of these albums, it's credited as Rick Allen on drums, but I'm not sure if they're enhanced by drum programming and all that sort of stuff. So really not sure how
Well,
much he actually plays.
yeah, well, there's parts where you can hear what they call a flam,
Mm,
which is when you hit the snare with both sticks.
yeah,
Well, realistically, I mean, how could that have been?
yeah,
Um, and but unless he still had, um, I don't know. It's definitely an acoustic sounding set, but I really I don't know what the story is there. I mean,
yeah,
it's not like there's not a lot of big snare drum fills or tom fills that go all over the kit, but there are parts like I'm thinking at the end of Work It Out, like there's definitely some flams, and it's like, well, how do you do a flam with one arm
yeah,
unless you've got another a snare trigger um, with your left foot like he would do? So that could be it. They could have an acoustic snare sound sampled somewhere. So
mm,
it's interesting that we've never, yeah, I mean, famously they recorded this in that house, and it sounds very idyllic, but there was never a making of Slang video. There
no,
was never a. Now maybe that's because it didn't sell, but usually they document this stuff and eventually put it out. So I
yeah,
would love to see them actually recording.
yeah, yeah. That would have been really cool to get the making of most of these albums. I know Hysteria has a documentary, and
Oh yeah, very good.
yeah, I don't know if any other albums have it, but I know Hysteria has like a documentary about the
Yeah,
album
the
process.
classic albums series
Yeah,
did history, and it's very good. I'd love to see more of them.
yeah, that would have been cool. But yeah, I guess I'll get into some of the tracks. One of my favorite tracks on this album is definitely "Work It Out." That's a Vivian Campbell track, and written by him. And yeah, I think it's really cool. I like Joe's voice on this. It's very calm and collected. It's very like steady and the what should I say? Not equal, but it's very. It doesn't go much up and down in energy. It's very
Right.
plain.
It's very measured.
Yeah,
Yeah. He doesn't stray too
yeah,
much in as far as
yeah.
keys.
There are not many
Yeah,
peaks and
that's a
valleys in this song, and I think it fits very well, and it's definitely a step in a different direction for Def Leppard. So yeah, I really like "Work It Out." It's a cool track. I also really like "Blood Runs Cold." I don't know what your thoughts are about it, but I really like it. It's a song, a tribute to Steve Clark once again. White Lightning was the first one, but I read in the book in this box set, and I also have the Definitely book. But I
yeah.
just read this one here yesterday, and it said that White Lightning was more like the big movie Hollywood version of a tribute to Steve, which I can agree with and see. And this was like the more honest and real tribute to him. And I think Joe sounds really. Has a very beautiful voice on this track. Really like Blood Runs Cold. I could see that some people would think it's a downer, and it is, but I think it's a good break from a Gift of Flesh. which was the track before. So it goes down a bit in energy and it's a bit calmer. And then we have Where Does Love Go When It Dies, and then it ramps up at the end. I think it's very good. Maybe you could say two calm tracks in a row is a bit too much, and it slows down the pace of the album. I really like that it's very different. You know, if I want to listen to a very energetic and fast-paced Def Leppard album, I'm just gonna listen to High and Dry or maybe Pyromania or something like that. If you want a more calmer and more like real version of Def Leppard, not that the other ones are not, but if you want a more honest version, let's just say this, a more honest version of Def Leppard, then I think this album is really good for that, and it has many good tracks that are strays off the norm and the obvious path that Def Leppard had gone through on the first five albums. They were very predictable in some ways, and you knew what you would get when it said Def Leppard on the box. So, but this was very different, and I could see that many people got a real shock when it was released because it's so different. It's very much the black sheep of the Def Leppard discography. So yeah, those are the tracks I really like. There are other ones, Truth, I also like, but yeah, Work It Out, Blood Runs Cold, really my favorites on this. So, what do you think?
Um, yeah, I love the fact that these bands have these what I call outlier albums.
Yeah,
And most classic bands do. Most classic bands have at least one that just stands alone for some reason, or is kind of splits the fan base a little bit. What I never could understand, and I would it would be frustrating, is when these bands did change up their sound dramatically to try to fit in. Is that, well, number one, someone that was headfirst into the grunge stuff and the alternative stuff, they hate Def Leppard.
yeah,
And so it doesn't matter what Def Leppard puts out. They're never going to hear it because it's
yeah,
got Def Leppard on it. They're never going to give it a chance.
yeah,
If they gave it a chance, they might be surprised.
mm,
And I'm not saying that always happens. I'm just saying in general, people are not going to give it a chance. Like when Warrant did their Ultraphobic album in '95, and that was a very different album for them, but no one heard it. The people they thought, hey, they're really going to dig this. Somebody that likes Soundgarden's really going to dig this. They're never going to hear it because it's got Warrant, because of the name on it. Same thing with Def Leppard. Now, Work It Out, I didn't like it so much when I first heard it, but it did grow on me. It is interesting that it's Vivian's first major contribution to the band
yeah,
as a
absolutely.
writer. He'd been in the band for 4 years at that point, but of course, Adrenalize was already written and recorded, and most of Retroactive was older material.
Yeah,
So yeah, this was his first. It worked out. It just, no pun intended. But I remember Joe saying in interviews that he wasn't sure how he was going to sing it because when he sang it in a higher register, he said it sounded like Crowded House. It sounded like something like that, which I can kind of hear. If you can imagine him singing that an octave higher, it would sound very sort of acoustic pop. So he said he kind of went into a Bowie or a Brian Ferry voice, very 70s glam, and it works for the song. I think it's quite catchy. I think the song did quite well up here in Canada as a single. Again, like they've always had a strong fan base here. I do like the opener, Truth, quite a bit. It's
yeah,
very,
me too.
very almost industrial sound. They sound like they were digging into a little Nine Inch Nails, but I like it. It's aggressive. It rocks. Um, Turn to Dust is interesting because that chorus, that's Def Leppard. It's got the multi-layered vocals. Like to me, that's a nod to their classic sound. Um, One song on here I've always really liked. It's just like a dark horse song is "Deliver Me." It's ominous and it's slow and it's heavier. And that's one they actually did when I saw them too, and that kind of solidified the fact that, yeah, this is a pretty cool song. I like that one. As far as, yeah, I think that Blood Runs Cold is probably the best of the ballads on here. It's very honest, it's very heartfelt.
Yeah,
And yeah, you're right. I mean, White Lightning was, remembering the guy on stage,
yeah,
and Blood Runs Cold was almost like this is us remembering our friend.
yeah,
Just, Uh, Now the song, I it's weird because I know that you know you mentioned the song. Probably my least favorite song on here is "Pearl of Euphoria." I just don't
Oh,
understand um, much of. I just it seems it seems like they were trying for something, but it never sticks with me after I hear it. I can never think of how it actually goes. Um, does that mean it's bad? No. I mean, the title song is a lot of fun. That's one they always played live in concert. Even when I saw them on the Euphoria tour, they still did Slang. Um, and obviously, that's got a little bit of hip hop in it. And that wasn't, no one's going to take that from Def Leppard either, but it is a fun song. Like I said, I think this isn't one I reach for a lot, but I do put it on once in a while just because it is different and it's a break from the norm. I mean, you're right. The predictability was there. Adrenalize was almost Hysteria 2.0,
yeah,
just with not quite as strong a batch of songs.
yeah,
I
yeah.
like Adrenalize. I
Yeah,
like
also
Adrenalize,
I
but
think Adrenalize was way too late. It should have been like released almost in 89 or even 90.
I
I think
I've
it's
always wondered what would have happened if there's a few things there, and I don't want to divert too much, but I really think that when they put out the live in the round in your face home video in '89, I really think they should have put that out on audio. They should have put that out on
yeah,
CD and cassette and vinyl,
yeah,
and they should have put two or three of those B-sides on the end as studio tracks because right around the time that came out, they played the MTV Awards. They did tear it down,
yeah,
and that song started to get a little bit of radio airplay.
yeah.
I think that, to be cynical about it, I think they left money on the table. I think they would have sold 2-3 million copies of that, and then maybe that would have, made the gap between albums not seem quite so long. But yeah,
Mm,
if Adrenalize had come out in 1990, I think it would have been a much better or a much different situation. But anyway, whatever happened happened. The grunge thing would have happened anyway. But
yeah,
so as far as this album goes, it's got some. Obviously, it's Def Leppard, so it's quality. You mentioned Gift of Flesh. I like that one too. That's probably the heaviest thing on
I
here,
don't
and
like it at
that's
all.
just a
That's my least
no.
favorite. I don't even like
Really?
Joe's voice on Gift of Flesh. Like I think he
Okay.
sounds kind of annoying to be honest. And I think the
That's
start of
that's fair.
it starts very like fast and aggressive, and I love that sort of music. I love High and Dry. That's my favorite Def Leppard album. But I think it doesn't work on this for some reason. And yeah, this is one of very few tracks where I don't like Joe's voice, and I don't know why. But yeah, there's some kind of
Well,
filter maybe on it, on his voice or
it's a
something.
it, it's like he's trying to play a character. I think with this too,
Yeah,
it's unusually aggressive. I will agree. It's an unusually aggressive vocal, but a lot of this album moves at a very slow pace. So by
yeah,
the
and
time this
this
comes
picks
on,
up
it's
the
kind of a
pace.
breath of fresh air. It does speed
Yeah,
things up.
yeah, I could
That
agree
doesn't
with that.
necessarily make it the greatest of songs, but
Yeah,
um yeah, it's I admire the guys. It was a risk and they did it, you
yeah,
know. So
yeah. Slang is a very interesting album. Definitely the black sheep of the discography.
yeah.
So yeah, that was Slang. Now we have the next album, which I have twice here. I have the one from the box set, and then the one that was released separately. Well, technically, this was also in the vinyl box, but I don't have it. So yeah, Euphoria is a very interesting album for me because I feel like this was really they came back to the old sound of like Hysteria and the classic period, but it's still very 90s and still very off the time, I feel like. So yeah, it's a hodgepodge of different types of sound and music. I feel like so yeah, but I like Euphoria as an whole album. There are some songs that I just can't understand or that doesn't click with me. But yeah, overall, I think this is a way stronger album than Slang and really a return to form. So yeah, what are your favorite tracks on Slang and your least favorites, and what are your thoughts? And maybe your thoughts at the time.
Um, well, this album, of course, kind of it didn't really sell any better than Slang did, but it sounded like Def Leppard.
Yeah,
And I remember buying this. This came out right at the beginning of the summer in 1999.
yeah,
I hadn't heard anything off of it, but I remember buying this and going to see Star Wars Episode One: The Phantom Menace the same
yes,
trip. So it was like nostalgia overload, right?
yeah,
But I put it on. I listened to it on the way home, and I really like this album. I probably would have told you I liked it more within the first couple months of it being out because I was so blown away by the first handful of songs. Um, all the way through, I don't think it's definitely not a perfect album. It's got its moments, but overall, I think it's quite a good album, and obviously they worked very hard to, make an attempt to recapture their classic sound. But you're right, we are in the late '90s by now. But
yeah,
Demolition Man right away, you just know that this is Def Leppard
yeah,
coming back to sounding like Def Leppard, and I love the fast pace. Apparently, Joe has said that's a very hard chorus to sing because there's no spaces to breathe.
yeah. It's
It's
super
just a lot
fast,
of vocals.
very fast paced.
Yeah, and and Promises was just like the perfect gift to old school Def Leppard fans. It's like you've been waiting for this song.
Yeah,
Like this is like Photograph meets Armageddon. It's the melodies, it's the guitar. It's still one of my favorite Def Leppard songs, and the fact that sometimes when bands try to recapture something, it doesn't work. This works.
yeah,
This song could have fit in on any of those classic albums. Um, I think that there was a real missed opportunity in terms of video. I remember getting so frustrated when that year and that summer, that was when I noticed a lot of radio stations were starting to play a lot of 80s music again. And I remember they started to play a lot of Def Leppard. And I'm like, I just wish that they slipped this song in somehow because people would probably, if they weren't diehard fans, they would probably think, well, what's that song? What album is that from? Oh, they have a new album. I think I'll have to get it because that's good. Um, I think that I just wish that the radio stations had gotten on board with it, and there wasn't that support there. But radio chains were changing a lot. Program directors did not have a lot of autonomy, so it kind of came and went. But what a great song, and it's still just the fact that they were able to do it. I just remember it just made me smile. I was like, this is why I got into this band in the first place. So it was a wave of nostalgia, but the song holds up on its own. I
yeah.
think Back in Your Face is really good. I mean, it's more like Demolition Man. Now, I don't think that the rest of the album is quite up to that level. That first three songs are pretty tough to beat. I think some of the weak links. I think the weak links on this album are the ballads. I think Goodbye is okay. I really don't care for It's Only Love. That's probably my least favorite song on the album. It's just very boring. It just
Okay.
really doesn't elevate to anything. All Night sounds like they were trying to go for something and make it a song that maybe dance clubs would play. I think that the chorus is underwritten. Something's not quite clicking with that song. It's not that. It's not like it's like they were trying to do a kind of another fun song like Slang, and it's nowhere near as good. Paper Sun is good for a heavier one. Really like that one. I remember the first bit of music that anyone heard on their website was the beginning of 21st Century Sha La 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 Girl. So
Okay.
when that riff came on, I'm like, okay, well that's definitely Def Leppard. I never heard the rest of the song until I got the album. I kind of like that. It's got a lot of lyrically, it's got a lot of early '70s glam rock references, like they're referencing T Rex with Cosmic Dancer and things like that. I kind of like that one. To Be Alive is a mid-tempo one. No, that's not it. That's not that one. To Be Alive is an acoustic one. To me, that sounds kind of more like something that would have been on Slang. It's okay, but not one of my favorites. Disintegrate is a cool instrumental. It's the first instrumental they had since Switch 625. It's nowhere near as good. Switch 625 is one of my favorite instrumentals
Yeah,
of all time.
yeah.
Um,
Really good.
Guilty is pretty classic sounding Def Leppard. Guilty could have been on. Adrenalize. It's like Stand Up. It's like one of those types of songs.
Yeah, and the riff
Um,
in the beginning sounds just like Hysteria. Is the song Hysteria. It sounds
yeah,
like identical almost. So yeah.
yeah.
Same
Day After
thing with
Day is
Promises
another
and Photograph. They're also very similar.
very
Not
similar. Yeah.
quite the same, but yeah.
Day After Day is another good heavy one.
Yeah.
And I like Kings of Oblivion, the closer. That was surprising to me. That sounded like very, aside from the production and the drum sounds and all that, Kings of Oblivion wouldn't have sounded out of place on High and Dry. I mean, that's a pretty rocking song. It's pretty. It's definitely the most aggressive, or I don't know. There's something about it that makes me think really old school Def Leppard. Maybe not High and Dry. Maybe side two of Pyromania or something like that.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought that this was a great return to form. It's not perfect,
Yeah.
but you can't always have that. I also saw them on this tour a little bit better attended. The unfortunate thing was that that was in the dead of winter when I saw them, and Joe actually lost his voice,
Yeah.
and uh, and it's a testament to how good the other guys in the band are
Yeah.
at
Vivian,
singing.
Phil, and
That Vivian and Phil. I mean, Phil could almost double for Joe if he
yeah, he
had to.
sounds like Joe Elliott sometimes.
He
Yeah.
sounds a lot like Joe. But some bands they've got one singer and that's it. And if the,
But they're
so
screwed
this
if
they
anything
were
happens.
yeah, they did the best they could. But
Yeah.
and from and they did a few songs from this album too. But it was unfortunate that you know it was a bad night for Joe. But overall, I was very pleased with this album, and I thought, okay, maybe they got Slang out of their system, and now they're going to sound like Def Leppard again. Now that spoiler alert, that didn't really happen yet, but overall, I was very happy with this album.
Yeah, you just went through it track by track, and that really shows how enthusiastic you are about it compared to Slang.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't even once I
Yeah,
got
it's
going,
no
I just
problem.
one
Yeah,
song
I'm
led
gonna do
into
the
the
same
other one.
actually. I'm gonna do the same. So because I really liked it. Demolition Man, the first track, very fast paced as you said. I like it. I think the chorus is super catchy. Very good song. Really a new beginning for Def Leppard. I feel like perfect starting of song. Promises, instant classic, great song. Don't really need to add anything to that. Back in Your Face, I don't like. I don't like Back
Okay,
in Your I know you said you like it, but yeah, I think the lyrics are stupid, and I don't like that.
the lyrics are
Hey,
the lyrics are pretty
hey, that
silly.
part. I think it just sounds really silly. I'm back in your face. Now it don't work for me at all. But Goodbye, I think it's a very beautiful ballad. I really like that chorus. It's really a sing along chorus. And yeah, I think it's very beautiful. I think Joe sounds very good in the verses and everything. And also the pre-chorus, I think you call it. I liked how it got a bit darker and more dramatic, and then you go to the chorus. Really like it. All Night, I think it's the worst song on the album. The lyrics are stupid. Joe's like, oh yes, and everything. It just makes me cringe. It sounds
They
so.
tried to they really tried too hard on that
Yeah,
song.
yeah, exactly. That's the best way to describe it. They really try too hard on All Night. So yeah, don't like the chorus. Don't really like anything about it. Easily, like it's probably the worst track on all these three albums we're talking about today. I think All Night is just very embarrassing. It's an embarrassment of Def Leppard's catalog. I feel like so harsh words, but yeah, I don't like it. Paper Sun, one of their best tracks, like super super good. Best tracks after the classic period. I mean, I think Paper Sun is very very good. I like it has two solos also. I think that's really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I like that it's a bit longer than some of the other tracks, and it's very epic. And just that chorus when they sing "Paper Sun" and all that, those gang vocals, everything just sounds amazing. I love that
It
song.
goes through a lot of cool chord changes
Yeah,
too. Like it changes key a lot. It's very old school Def Leppard. Like it makes me think of like Billy's Got a Gun
yeah.
or even a Desert Song. Oh yeah,
Oh,
it's a
that
good
sweet
one.
song is so good. I love
Yeah,
retroactive so much, but
me too. Me
yeah,
too. Yeah.
we're not talking about that today. But It's Only Love. You said you didn't like it. You thought it was too slow and it didn't really go anywhere for you. I really like it. I agree with you. It's very slow and it doesn't really go anywhere, but I still like it. I think Joe sounds really good. I feel like this is really a 90s song. I think Joe's voice and the instruments and the vibe of the song screams like 90s and 2000s for me. So it could have been a song released by literally any pop star, any. It could be like a more melancholy type of song from any pop star during that time.
Do you know? Do you
But
know what it reminded me of at the time was Everclear.
I'm not familiar
Okay.
with that, but
Um, but very much a '90s alt rock. Not so much grunge, but it wouldn't have sound. That's the thing. It wouldn't have sounded out of place on current pop radio at the time,
yeah,
but
that's
it
what I
didn't
mean.
get played. It didn't get added.
Yeah.
So I know they probably said, let's give it something like this. Whereas Goodbye is more of a traditional Def Leppard ballad. This sounds like it could have gotten played on an adult contemporary station
Yeah.
first thing in the morning, and it wouldn't offend anybody. But it just didn't. It didn't click
I don't know if we mentioned it, but Mutt Lang is back on this album. I
on
think
some of the songwriting. Yeah,
on three of the songs, it's Promises,
yeah.
All Night, and I think it's Only Love also. I think those are the
And
three.
I don't hear the Mutt Lang touch on "It's Only
Yeah,
Love."
yeah, I also think
Promises,
that.
yes. I mean, Promises. This had to have been co-written by Mutt Lang. There's just no way it wasn't. All Night is it, like I said, they really tried too hard on that song. Yeah, I think you're right. It's not a great song.
Yeah, and I also read in the booklet, I think they said that they didn't have the chorus for Promises. They had some of the other parts and the verses and everything, but they didn't have the chorus. So they like sent the tapes over to Matt Lang. I think he lived like in Switzerland or something at the time,
Mhm.
and he like cut up the tape and put everything together, sent it back, and they're like, "Here's our chorus."
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, Matt Lang also. I'm not sure if he also sings the background vocals on Promises because I know he did that in the classic period. He was like the sixth member of the band, and he did like the backing vocals with the rest
Yeah,
of the
it
band.
sure sounds like it.
Yeah,
It sure sounds like.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the next song is 21st Century Sha-La-La-La Girl. It's probably the most stupid title ever. I think it's
It's a
oh
mouthful. It's a mouthful of a title. I love the music. I love the riff um and I love the melodies and the bridge and the chorus. It was the lyrics they're silly, but those early glam songs were pretty silly. So he was channeling some influences there, but it's it's as somebody that I used I've been a DJ before, and that's a nightmare of a song title to try and get out.
yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the lyrics, as we said, are kind of silly, but if you don't think about it too hard, it's fine. I really like the chorus.
yeah,
On a psychedelic space machine and everything, sugar high. That whole chorus is very catchy and very good.
yeah.
I think all their voices sounds really good. Yeah, so the gang vocals sound really good on this album. So it's really a return to form in that aspect. To Be Alive, I think it's one of the best songs on the album. You said you didn't like it
Really.
too much, but
Not one of my favorites, but it's interesting.
yeah, it's one of my favorites actually. I think it's really good. Love that chorus and everything, the verses. I think Joe, during this period, both Slang and Euphoria and then X, I think he taps into his more emotional side on some aspects of the song and some sections of these songs on these albums. I didn't really feel like we had that during the 80s period because it was like all this feel good, we're gonna rock, we're gonna have a good time. It was that sort of music, so it wouldn't have fitted on those songs. But I like how it taps into that aspect of the songwriting and his vocal range during this period. I think it's really good. Disintegrate, great instrumental. Love it. Guilty. as I mentioned before, sounds kind of like Hysteria in the beginning. Like the chorus here too, and yeah, I think it's a good track, but not one of my favorites. Day After Day is definitely one of my favorites on the album. So it's probably To Be Alive, Day After Day, Paper Sun, Goodbye, Promises. That's probably my five tracks on this album. Yeah, that chorus, like as I said before, the gang vocals, everything is just sounds so good, and I like how heavy it is compared to the other tracks. Maybe Paper Sun is one of those two, but yeah, really like it.
It makes me think of Paper Sun and Day After Day. I kind of think of as sister songs on
Yeah,
this album,
yeah,
but
exactly.
Day After Day has those quarter notes on the bass that do, which almost reminds me of Mirror Mirror.
Yeah, that's right. I've never thought
So
about that, but yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's cool. Kings of Oblivion, I don't like. You liked it. I don't like it. I think they should have ended on Day After Day. I think that would have been a great ending song. Or maybe here's an idea. I just thought of it now. Maybe Day After Day and then end on Disintegrate, the instrumental. That would have been
yeah, that
kind of strange, but I think it would have
real.
worked in some way.
I, I just remembered something about Disintegrate too, because I know that when that came out, they said, "Oh well, we needed a new song to play for an instrumental break." Well, they didn't. They stuck with Switch 625
Yeah,
wisely. But when a few years ago, Phil Collin did, he was one of the guys doing the G3 tour, like with I don't know if it was Satriani and Vire. I don't know who the other two guitar players were on that tour, but during his set, he did Disintegrate, which is pretty cool.
yeah, that's cool. So yeah, we both just went through all the tracks on Euphoria. I think it's a solid album, a new start for Def Leppard at the time, and because I don't really. Maybe Slang was a new start for them, but I really feel like this was the return to form. This just they really picked up the pace and just went forward really well with this album. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
Euphoria. Any last thoughts on this album?
I think that they were playing to their strengths, and it's too bad that it didn't bring them back in a commercial sense, but
Mm,
obviously they're still doing well out there on the road. So we're also, at this time we're also entering a period where older bands just didn't sell new music anymore. It was they made it, but it wasn't selling. So
yeah,
um, you know, but it's a great album. I still listen to it a lot, and it really um, hearing a lot of the songs just reminded me of why I liked the band in the first place.
yeah, yeah. That's cool. So the next album is X or 10 or whatever you want to say. Oh, you have the black cover. The
Yeah,
black
yeah.
cover, was that like a US and Canada thing? Because I don't
This
think
is this
in
is a
Europe they have it.
Canadian this is a Canadian CD, but
Yeah,
all the vinyl I've ever seen looks like yours. I
yeah,
don't.
and I have the
This is
CD from the
actually the one
box
and
set.
only copy of this that I have. I'd like to find a cassette of it,
Yeah,
but they by 2000 2001 is when cassettes kind of disappeared from store shelves
yeah,
in North America, but they kept making them in other territories. So I'd like to get all of the Def Leppard cassettes, but well, spoiler alert, this is not an album I spend a lot of time looking for copies of.
yeah. And it's not an album I spend a lot of time listening to either. So
No,
yeah,
I
I'm not
don't.
gonna be as
I
positive as I was before on
Yeah,
this
this
one.
is not a track by track album for me.
No,
This
not
is
for me either. Not for me either.
no.
But yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah. So X they released in 2002, and it sounds like it. It really sounds like a 2000 early
Oh
2000s
yeah.
album. Um, the first thing I thought of when I first heard it a couple of years ago was Backstreet Boys and Sing and all these like boy bands. What's the
Well, you
first?
got you got
Yeah,
Max Martin, you've got Andrews Carlson. I mean, they really went pop on this album like
yeah,
they'd never been before,
yeah,
and it failed miserably. I mean,
yeah.
I think this was their first album that didn't go gold in the U.S. I mean, so people were really over it,
Yeah, and
as
gold
far
is
as the
like
pop stuff.
50,000 copies, right? Is it?
500,000. Gold
Oh,
is
in America.
500,000 in the US. In Canada, it's 50,000.
Yeah, I was thinking of Canada. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
the standards are way higher in the US for platinum and gold and yeah.
yeah.
Do
So
you
based
even
on
have
population.
diamond in Canada?
Oh, we have Diamond, and I think Pyromania and Hysteria are both Diamond out. So yeah, Diamond album is 1 million sold, whereas that's just single platinum in the States. It's based on population, right?
Yeah, yeah. And in US, it's like 10 million for diamond,
It's
right?
gotta be 10 million, yeah.
Yeah,
And they've got two Diamond albums, so you can't take that away from 'em. But I mean,
yeah,
it's I just don't like this album. I don't like this album. For me to pick favorite songs on it, I don't have any favorite songs on it. I've got songs that are okay.
yeah.
Um, Really, I'll say, okay, well, so when I mentioned Missed Opportunity back when I was talking about Promises, the first single they put out from this album, and I think it's a weird first single, and I think it's an even stranger album opener, is Now. It's an
Okay.
acoustic song. I never understood why they went with that as a single, but the video, I like the video for Now because it's this girl buys a Def Leppard t-shirt in presumably 83. She buys like a Union Jack, tank top, whatever. And then through the years, it ends up being sold. She ends up finding it again. So it's like, it's got a very nostalgic thing on it. I think that's the video treatment they should have done for Promises.
Yeah.
I think they missed a real opportunity there because the Promises video is really, really stupid.
Yeah, I
Really,
haven't
really
looked at
pointless.
the
The
video
band's playing in
for a while, but
the,
yeah,
the
I
band
don't.
is playing in this hall. The audience looks half dead. They're not paying any attention. And I remember thinking they used to do such classy, cool videos.
Yeah,
They've got a fantastic song they're promoting, and they put out this really bad, pointless video. Something like the Now treatment, playing on that nostalgia while the song's playing, it could have been very different.
yeah,
As it stands, I think, I mean, it's cat the song now, back we're back to the song Now. I think it's catchy, but it's just, I don't know. It just doesn't, it doesn't rise, it doesn't hit those highs that you want the Def Leppard choruses to hit. And there's just a lot of really bad pop on this album. I think that the worst culprit for going full in on pop is the second song, Unbelievable, because not one member of Def Leppard figures in on the songwriting.
yeah.
I mean, these guys are such good writers. They can collaborate. I don't have any problem with that, but just take outside songs. I
Yeah.
don't get it. Long, long way to go is the same. Now, I think that's a good ballad. I just don't think it's a good Def Leppard ballad. I mean, it says a lot that Long, Long Way to Go around the same time was also recorded by Lionel Richie. It's not a rock ballad at
Mm,
all. Um, Honestly, if I had to pick a favorite song on this album, it would be Four Letter Word because it's one of the few songs that actually sounds like Def Leppard, but it sounds like
yeah.
Def Leppard on autopilot. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we need a song that sounds like Def Leppard. Okay, or it's almost like get AI to write a Def Leppard song, and this is what you get.
Yeah, yeah, I watched. I think it was your review of Diamond Star Halos, and
Yeah,
Matt, your good buddy, he mentioned like
yeah. Oh,
one of
that
the songs. I
SOS
think it was "You Rock
Emergency,
Me"
which
or something. And
I
he,
think it was SOS Emergency, where he
SOS
says, Siri,
Emergency. Yes, yes,
Siri,
that's good.
write me a Def Leppard song, and I
Hero
agree. But
Def Leppard song.
I think Four Letter Word is the same. It's
Yeah.
like it's a bad Def Leppard song, or it's a bad Brian Adams song. Like it just, I don't like this album. I don't like this album. To me, I would way rather listen to Slang
Okay. Yeah,
than
yeah,
listen
me
to
too,
X.
me too. I rather
You know,
listen to both Euphoria and Slang than this album. Yeah, I think X or 10 is definitely the worst Def Leppard album in their discography, easily. But there are some stuff on it that I like. I actually like Now. I think it's a good song. You said you didn't think like the chorus really hits that level of the classic Def Leppard type of chorus. I think it does, and I think it sounds really good. I like the guitar solo on this song. I think this album is probably the Def Leppard album, maybe Slang too, that has the fewest guitar solos. Like some of these songs
Yeah.
are really structured like pop songs. So
That
and
was
yeah,
that was also a trend at this time.
yeah,
People were not doing guitar solos.
no.
It was a
So
terrible trend that thankfully came to an end, but
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I agree with you. Unbelievable. It's probably the most poppy song on this album, and it was not written by any members of Def Leppard, as you mentioned. I think the easily the worst song on this is "Girl Like You." I not a single second of that song I like. I think it's just so terrible. Like it's that and All Night. Those from Euphoria. Those are the songs that I just I can't listen to them. So and I think the lyrics are really cheesy and yeah, I don't like it. Now on the more positive side, as I said, I like Now, but I really like Long Long Way to Go. I think it's a
it's
perfect
nice. Yeah.
yeah, it's a perfect ballad. I like how it starts with the acoustic guitar, and I think the verses and the chorus and everything is just a very well structured song. I feel like, and I read in the booklet, and Phil mentioned that he was very disappointed that this song wasn't a huge hit. That at least the hit that he thought it would be, and I can get it because when I listen to it, I feel like, yeah, this must have been a huge hit back then, but it wasn't. So yeah, and he was very confident that this one would be. He said it was like a slam dunk. He thought this was just gonna be huge, but it wasn't. So yeah, but I really like that song, and yeah, it's not written by any members of Def Leppard. This one either, but I think it's the best song they have that's not written by themselves. So that's really good. Four letter word you mentioned is the more rocky type of song. Sounds like Def Leppard because Long Long Way to Go doesn't sound like Def Leppard to me at least.
No.
Unbelievable, no. You're So Beautiful, no. Every Day, some parts maybe, but mostly no. But Four Letter Word actually sounds like a Def Leppard song. Torn to Shreds, I think it's okay. But Torn to Shreds is very, how should I say this? It sounds manufactured in some way. Like it doesn't sound natural. I don't know why I feel that, but it doesn't really. Yeah, it feels manufactured in some way. It could have been a song by anybody during that time. That was
Well,
delving
that's just
into
it.
more of the rock
This
pop
whole album
stuff.
sounds like it could have been done by anybody.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. But I have to say, my favorite song on this album, and it has always been the song, is "Love Don't Lie." And maybe you're gonna be surprised by that, but I really like it. And yes, it's very boy bandish, and yes, but I think this is the only track in that sort of style that actually works on this album. So I really like Love Don't Lie. I like all parts of it, and yeah, but the rest is Gravity is one of the worst ones. Yeah, I don't like that at all. Girl Like You, I mentioned before, the worst track. Let Me Be the One has been a track that they brought back a few times and they played it live I think, during their acoustic sets uh, a few
I think
years
you're
ago.
right. Yeah.
I think it was one of those songs. Uh, I think Scar is the most. I think it's the best track on the album to end with. So in that sense, it was a good ending track, but it's still not up to the standard that most fans would want. It's
Yeah.
I think Scar, Cry, and Four Letter Word are the most like rocky type of songs. Um, they really have like a rock influence, but the rest of them are really pop songs.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
You
way
know,
too poppy this album, and I have more good things to say about it than you, but I'm still not that positive about it, and it's the worst one in their discography easily.
You know, it's not like it was impossible for them to do a pop album and have it work. They just needed a better batch of songs,
Yeah,
because they could have, I would have loved to have been like, boy, I didn't like the sounds of the way they were describing this album, but I like the songs are catchy. I mean, one of their biggest influences and one of my favorite bands is Queen, and Queen did that many times. They would put an album out to be like, man, this is just not, you know, this is just not rock, but I can't get the songs out of my head. So it wasn't an impossible. I see what they were trying to do, but it didn't work. They didn't have the right songs for it for the
yeah,
most part.
yeah. And Joe Elliott is like hell bent on trying to defend this album, and
Yeah.
some of the other albums during this era, like Slang. And he's just saying outright, like, we've always been a pop rock band, and if we sound like a boy band, so fucking what? Like he's really hell bent on
And
defending this
I
era. And
understand,
yeah, I don't
you
really
know, I
get it.
I understand that they worked hard on these things, they never phone it in.
Yeah,
But it's just sometimes it just doesn't work. But to me, this was the start of a very rough decade for the band.
yeah, yeah. And if this album was released by anybody else during that period that did this sort of music, it would have been a very good album if you like that sort of stuff. I don't like that sort of music, so I don't get it. But I think there are a lot of people out there that probably like this sort of music and that would really like this album. But I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.